read all the self-development books, listened to every podcast, downloaded all productivity apps, and you know more about productivity and performance optimization that you think is actually healthy, but you're still not performing at the level you know you need in order to scale your business, this video is for you, because we're going to go deep into what makes behavioral transformation possible. Because if you learn tons of stuff but nothing changes in your behavior, you're going to be stuck in the same place, only more frustrated. Hello everyone, Leon Castillo here. If you don't know who I am, I'm the founder of Selfmastered, 7-figure peak performance training company. We help entrepreneurs scale without overwhelm, burnout, or procrastination. We help them achieve 100% clarity on what they need to do, 100% belief in their ability to do it, and 100% discipline when doing it. And today's video is about how to turn knowledge into action, how to get out of what I call self-development hell, which is this tendency to read about all of these self-development topics but never really doing much about it. And that is because basically information is never the problem. If information was the problem, we would all be billionaires with perfect apps. I'm paraphrasing Derek Sivers. The problem is implementation. The problem is learning how to actually do something with what you learn. And as I say, the difference between average and elite performers is how quickly they can go from planning to execution, from learning to action. If there's no gap between the moment they learn and the moment they try a new thing based on what they learn, the speed of process is just so much faster, which is why they win. As I always say, you're not one funnel away or 10,000 hours away of mastering whatever it is that you're trying to do. You are 1,000 conscientious iterations away. It's all about feedback. It's all about learning what's working, what's not working, and doubling down on the things that are working. So in order to illustrate exactly what is the process that anyone can really follow in order to transform information into action, let me tell you a story about one of our clients who came to us 4 or 5 months ago. He had a small business, 2-3 contractors. He was working on the agency niche and he had a 20K a month revenue, but he was all over the place, totally overwhelmed, super tired every single day, running on caffeine, not sleeping well, involved in sales, marketing, product delivery. He was absolutely all over the place. And he came to us asking for the perfect hack. He had learned about our framework, said, dude, I know you have the solution to my problems. What is the thing that I'm not doing that is going to change the game for me? Just give it quick because I'm very burnt out. And said, before I show you what we got, let's just run an analysis about where you are right now. Because one of the things that we do, and I'm very big on this, is data-driven optimization. We need to understand what is not working. What are the things that require our attention? Because if we mindlessly train you with what you think you need, we may be addressing the wrong problem. So the first thing we did is we run a 360 performance evaluation in order to understand where was the bottleneck, what is the thing that was preventing him from being effective and was causing all of that overwhelm. And we found out that his attention span was compromised. Let's put it that way. He was so overstimulated that his dopamine receptors had been fried and he was basically unable to focus for more than 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. So it was constantly context switching, constantly doing new stuff in order to feel that rush of dopamine, but never really finishing anything, which means that he was compromising his ability to do deep work. If you're not doing deep work, it becomes very hard to actually make progress. If you're constantly paper cut, if you're constantly in this state of attention deficit trait, which is a non-genetic disorder that I covered in a previous video, I'm going to be putting a link here, then you're just not going to be able to focus, and that is going to hurt your chances of scaling your business. So once we found out that his attention span was really compromised, we went into solution mode. And the number one way of increasing your attention span after removing unnecessary digital stimulation that he was subject to, right? He is an online business founder and CEO. He cannot work without a computer and a phone. So the goal is not to go into monk mode, dopamine reset, or anything like that, because that doesn't work. The goal is to help him streamline his digital consumption habits so we can remove what is really non-core, non-essential, and zero in the high leverage digital interactions on his day-to-day. So that's what he did. And then we did, okay, what is the number one habit that you can start doing today that is going to train your ability to focus? Meditation. Now, here's where the core of the video lies, the core idea. He had already learned about meditation. He already know about that. He had even tried it in the past. He had a little bit of knowledge about different types of meditation, and he had just, decided that this did not work for him. Now, the problem is that we didn't have a choice because there's no really a faster way to thicken your brain cerebral cortex and really regain your ability to focus as well as you need that doing meditation. So we had no choice but to help him implement the habit. And we succeeded. We succeeded in making him an avid meditator. Within 1 month, he was meditating for 10 minutes a day. Within 3 months, he was at 20 minutes every single day for at least one time, sometimes two, and all of that rush, the procrastination, that overwhelm had completely vanished. He was able to have solid 90-minute deep work session. So what happened? How did we able to actually make him a meditator? Well, we created what we call an identity shift. We tied that habit to the new self-image that he was willing to build, because identity-based habits are those that create a feedback loop with the mental image of the person you're trying to become. You don't meditate just for the sake of meditation, of solving the problem or lack of focus. You go one level deeper than that. You meditate because you are a laser-focused entrepreneur that needs meditation, that embraces meditation as a mental sharpening tool. That switch in perspective is what clicked for him, because he realized that meditation was not a chore. Meditation was a tool that he had to prove that he was serious about becoming an elite performing entrepreneur. So that's step number one, is really understanding that every habit is a vote for the person you're trying to become. But that is not enough, especially in those habits that have a very long kind of feedback mechanism, like meditation. You can sit down for 2 weeks and not see anything, not feel any different. It takes a few weeks. 12 minutes a day for 8 weeks is the latest research on meditation about how to induce cortical changes in the brain. Knowing that something is good for you is not enough. We need the second part, which is tracking. Gamifying the process, knowing your numbers, because if you don't track, you don't know, and if you don't measure, you don't care. So what we also provided him is our own protocol to track the effectiveness of your meditation, so that every day he was able to see how much more efficient he was becoming at this meditation habit. He didn't need the immediate feedback loop to work on his day-to-day. He just needed to increase his score on his meditation practice. And this is what helped him tremendously, because not only he was actually operating from a source of strength, he was deciding to transform himself into that elite performing entrepreneur, but he also had the tools to track the progress, to gauge whether something was not working long before the effects manifested in his own life. So this is how you go from consuming knowledge to actually transforming your behavior, from being interested in self-development to committed to self-mastery. There's 2 ways, and the only way that works is once you truly train that learning, that new information into yourself, but also you conscientiously track your adherence to that protocol, that new behavior. This is how we help this gentleman go from frantic, overwhelmed, successful but not really happy with his life entrepreneur to someone calm, collected, working I think 20 hours less per week, not wasting a single minute, and making more money than he has ever done before, without changing anything on the business, just by training his mind to actually focus, access deep work and flow states, and track his progress every day. So if you are consuming tons of information but nothing is quite ticking, try this approach. First, understand how does this new habit tie into the future identity you're trying to build. But 2, build a dashboard. Use a system to track how much better are you becoming at that specific habit. If you are willing to see how meditation works, you can track the depth of the meditation, the length, how many thoughts per minute come into your mind that you have to let go. We all use all sorts of metrics. It can be anything that tells you that progress is actually happening. Of course, if you want proven protocols to basically become an elite performing entrepreneur in 12 weeks, book a call with us below, because we will be happy to help you. See you on the next video.